Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Glad you guys are here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Another day, another daily grind. So hopefully everybody has had a good Tuesday and got some stuff done and feeling good about life right now. So that's good. It's a middle of the week, so it's a good day. Let me know in the chat kind of what you were up to yesterday. Anything great happened? Any good reports? Anything fun? Anything like that? That'd be great to hear. Yesterday for me was busy, like always. A lot of meetings in the morning, follow-up paperwork in the afternoon, emails, calls, texts, all those kind of beautiful things. But it was good. I can't help but do this, guys. I know maybe most of you guys don't care about World Cup. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And this is a real estate channel, I know. But I've been talking about soccer periodically. I can't help but talk about it again. Matter of fact, my wife just shared an Instagram reel with me. It showed like a little video. This guy kind of acted all depressed because he was went from like 6 World Cup games down to like 1 or 2 a day, and like he's just kind of walking around sulking. It's like, yeah, that's kind of feels like me. It sounds weird to even say that, but I have watched so much soccer and I've enjoyed it. I'm now going to miss it, but it's not over yet. It's not over yet. And what I will update today is kind of what's happening currently in soccer, and then we'll get into real estate. I'm just going to share it. Yesterday was a crazy day in soccer. If you did not watch, or even just the highlights of the Argentina game against Colombia, against Egypt, go back and watch that. Watch Argentina play Egypt. Wow, that was a game. I mean, for almost the entire game, Argentina was 0, Egypt was 2. I mean, up until the very end of the game. Then Argentina, and sorry, anybody that has not watched that game, I'm sorry for the spoilers, but I mean, look, it's been almost 24 hours, so you had your chance to see it. So, but they came back. They went from 0-2 last few minutes to 3-2. They won by 1 point. I mean, look, even if you don't like soccer, it's worth going back and watching those last few minutes. Amazing. Then yesterday, also Switzerland played Colombia. And that game came down to the very end. Like, I mean, they went 0-0 all the way to the end of regulation play plus the extended time. And then they went into extended time for the extra or whatever. I think it's like 15 minutes, 2 15-minute halves or whatever. No score again. Then led into a shootout. Each team got 5 shots at the goal. It was back and forth. They missed, they made, they missed, they made. It came down to, again, spoiler alert, go back and watch the game. Two good games. Came down to the very final shot of Switzerland. Basically, they had the last kick. If they missed it or got blocked, it would be a tied game. It'd go into the next series or the next phase of this game because they got to have a winner. Or if they made it, they would win in advance. And spoiler alert, they made it. They made the final goal. So it came down literally to the last penalty kick. So 2 amazing games yesterday. Even if you don't like soccer, go check them out. So what does that mean? Well, here's the current standing. Current standing in the World Cup. Current standing. We've now the round of 16 is now over. We are now in the quarterfinals of this tournament, and you can kind of see where we're heading. So July 9th, 10th, and 11th is the next series of games for the quarterfinals. You have France against Morocco. France is the favored. Then you have Spain and Belgium on July 10th. That one, I think Spain is the favored, but Belgium has been playing amazingly well. And then July 11th, you have England against Norway. That should be a really good game. And if you've not checked out the what they call him, Viking Android, Holland, he is a beast. You go back and watch some footage of this guy. I mean, he is a tall dude. I mean, blonde hair. I mean, he looks like a Viking. He goes by Viking Android. Crazy cool to watch, right? And then you'll have on the 11th, Argentina versus Switzerland. So we are getting down to the end of this tournament, and it has been fun. It has been fun. I'm actually going to miss it. I am going to miss this. But like then you get into the semifinals of those games is July 14th and July 15th, and then your final, you have third place match July 18th, and then the final World Cup championship game takes place July 19th at 3 p.m. There you go. Maybe you care, maybe you don't. I mean, I understand this is all about real estate, but hey, we got to talk about our hobbies and have a little bit of fun. And right now, my hobby has been soccer. I've been learning all about it. All right, real quick. I'm gonna share just interest rates. We're gonna switch into real estate now. Unfortunately, the real estate interest rates has ticked up. So we were below we were sitting like right at, like we had like one day at 6.47. Like, I mean, like maybe 2 days. Then it started inching back up. We're now sitting at 6.64, which is an increase of 0.04. That was updated as of yesterday. So that was our most recent update. 15-year fixed is 6.17. Your 30-year FHA is 6.2 and VA is 6.22. That's where our interest rates currently sit. If you want to get into the deeper weeds of why, go to Mortgage News Daily. They actually have an article here at the very top. Like, if you go into their website, this is where you come to first. This very article right here. Rates move back up with oil prices. This is what caused that, okay? It's been a while since oil prices were the focal point of the interest rate conversion, but that recently familiar dynamic is once again playing out. Yep. Are you talking to yourself? Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. So it's been a while, but yeah, U.S.-Iran peace deal is on increasingly shaky ground, and the ability for oil to flow through the Strait of Hormuz has been increasingly compromised over the past 24 hours. Most recently, headlines suggest the U.S. is withdrawing authorization for Iran to export oil after Iran's recent attacks on cargo vessels. So guess what? That is what has driven that. That's why we have increased. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying because I have one viewer on TikTok. Yeah, but you're only watching it on TikTok, man. I'm streaming on multiple platforms, and sometimes you have to talk to yourself. I mean, that's the nature of these things. But I actually have other viewers, but I appreciate the comments there. Yeah, I'm on Twitch, YouTube, those places as well. Yep. Sometimes on TikTok, sometimes we have good success on TikTok, sometimes we don't. I don't know. TikTok can be hit or miss. I don't know what day it is that does it better. And to be honest, I don't play the game. I don't play the game. I do this because I like it. And TikTok is one of those things. I'm sure there's probably a better time to actually live stream, but on certain platforms. But again, this works into my schedule, so I can actually do it. And I do this every morning anyway. Read the news, so it just works. But yeah, totally talking to myself probably. All right. So today we're going to be talking about a few different things. We're going to be actually talking about far more real estate agents now report seeing a balanced market. It's a CNBC report talking about the housing market and what's going on there. So we'll discuss that in detail. Then I'm going to share something that just this just was an article that was ran yesterday, and I've kind of began researching this out just a little bit. But the Kelley Blue Book, the Blue Book company that has for a long time watched and what the car values, right? It assesses your car value. So Kelley Blue Book is launching a lead distribution for a side part of their business that evaluates homes. It's going to be aimed at putting leads into the hands of real estate agents. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to go into this, and just out the gate, I am not the biggest fan of all kinds of portals and lead aggregates. They have a place in your business model, but I do know they tend to be very expensive for the conversion rate. Maybe this will be different, but hey, it's a good conversation to have. We're going to read this article, and then we're going to actually go to the website itself, Kelley Blue Book Homes, and look at that and see what it looks like, and gain some more information there. And then if we have time, I'll get into the day 2 of the testimony that was centered on Compass and MRED and Zillow. We're going to talk about Refkin and his position on private listings and their 3-phase marketing plan and what took place in the court and the testimony of that, and kind of break that down. I did that briefly yesterday. It's in the news, guys. Like, I know it can kind of get redundant in this kind of stuff. It's relevant though to pay attention to these things because it can have effect on us long term as far as real estate is concerned, and certain things that we can and can't do and that kind of stuff. So we'll be talking about that as well. All right. Very good. All right, guys, here we go. Let's go ahead and get started with the show, and we will roll on. Welcome to the Real Estate Brief. I'm Adam. Today, we're going to be cutting through the noise. We're going to look to the truth in the news, look at the data, and I'm going to give you some of my observations and where I believe you can find opportunity. So if you're ready to gain your real estate edge, let's dive into our very first story. And our first story today is going to be from CNBC, written by Diana Olick. And it says, far more real estate agents now report seeing a balanced market. CNBC housing market survey finds. So let's talk about what is actually going on. And to be honest, like I would agree with just the headline itself. Like sometimes headlines are all about clickbait, that kind of stuff. I don't really feel too much clickbait in this. I think it's just a very fair balance, not pun intended, headline that is probably what most real estate agents and most markets are kind of experiencing. It doesn't mean there's some nuances in there and there's some fluctuations where it might not be true. I mean, everything about real estate is very local. But if you were to kind of take it as a national average and look at it from that perspective, you would come to the conclusion like, yeah, we're kind of getting into this area where it feels a little bit more balanced. It's not so crazy one way or the other. There are certain things that could change and be better. But the reality is it's a little bit easier to navigate as far as like getting prices listed correctly, representing buyers and sellers and those type of things. We are seeing a little bit of a balance. And typically this will happen when you have some kind of normalcy kind of settle in. And even though interest rates themselves have fluctuated, the reality is that they've done it very micro, not massive changes one way or the other. And that just makes me a little more confident. It makes them feel a little bit better. Job income has kind of went up a little bit. Pricing of homes has kind of adjusted a little bit. We now, as real estate agents on our side, are getting more data. So now that we have more data, we now have the ability to be able to assess pricing accordingly. So, yeah. So, Mohamed Rami, yeah. Egypt versus Argentina. Yeah, I corrected myself. It was Egypt. That was an amazing game. Mohamed Rami, let me know if you watched that game. I mean, that was, I was highly entertained. I felt bad for Egypt, honestly. I mean, I love Lionel Messi. I mean, I think he's just a great player. But then it's like, man, Egypt had it. I mean, they had the game. So, yeah, fascinating. All right. So let's go ahead now and get into this article here. All right. Key points. In the second quarter of the year, 44% of real estate agents surveyed in CNBC's housing market survey said they were seeing a balanced market between buyer and seller. Again, we talked about that. I feel like that's probably very true. Agents who reported at least one price cut to active listings dropped dramatically from prior surveys. This goes back to what I was just simply saying, is it's really difficult in a changing market and in a shift to price anything correctly. But mainly because you had the shift that took place, but you just don't have the data to go back and look at and say, well, this makes sense. This is what we should price it at. Sometimes you do the best you can with the data you have and you price the home and it requires more price cuts. Obviously, we don't like doing that. We like to limit the amount of those we have because it can create a little bit of a stigma with the property, that kind of stuff. But in a shift, it's really, really difficult. You just don't have the data to go by. So what we're seeing, that whole statement right there makes perfect sense. It's like, look, if you have a price cut and it's only averaging one per listing, then we're getting a little bit more data and we're getting a little more accurate. And also sellers are getting more understanding about what's actually going on in the market. So that is exactly what we're seeing. After several years of a lean and pricey housing market, real estate agents are starting to see more balance. In the second quarter of the year, 44% of real estate agents surveyed in CNBC's housing market survey said they were seeing a balanced market between buyer and seller. That share is up from 30% in the third quarter of last year. So it's improved just slightly, right? 14%, it's a little bit higher than that, right? All right, nearly half of U.S. real estate agents say current conditions point to a balanced market. So this is kind of what we're looking at. This is where their confidence was, where they're saying, like, are we a balanced market? What were they saying? If you went back to the third quarter of 2025, you had roughly around 30% saying that. It kind of went up a little bit, and now we're sitting up at a high of 44%. So a big increase there. That it's just, look, it's a little bit more balanced. Again, it goes down to the data. It makes it a whole lot easier to monitor this kind of stuff when we have the data to go off of. Quote, it certainly feels like, depending on the home, depending on the neighborhood, depending on the condition and the price point, that both the buyer and the seller do have a little bit of leverage, said Jeremy Kane, a real estate agent with eXp Realty in Denver. Yeah, so that's, I mean, no surprise there. I think this is kind of across the board. And they gave a bunch of caveats in there, depending on, neighborhood, pricing, condition, all this type of things. So there's a lot of caveats, but it's just the way real estate is. The CNBC Housing Market Survey is a national inquiry of real estate agents selected randomly across the United States. Responses for the second quarter survey were collected between June 23rd and June 30th. This quarter, 53 agents shared their insights. Now, given these are reportings, these are like people giving their opinions. So we don't take it as just fact. We just take it as an observation. And if you went out and you polled even my own agent base, you probably get a lot, as we read through this article, a lot of the similar type of statements. I've noticed that being the case. So, it probably is very true across the board. And, 53 agents, it's not a huge amount of people, but it's something. Home sales in May were up slightly, 3% higher than the same month last year, according to the National Association of Realtors. That was a result of more supply on the market and easing prices. We're still seeing a little bit of an increase of that, of the home sale. So nothing drastic again. At 3%, I mean, it's up compared to this time last year, but that's nothing drastic. So again, that's probably why we're saying it's more of a balanced market. Sellers appear to be getting more realistic when pricing their homes, not expecting the huge jump seen in the first 2 years of the pandemic. This is where the biggest adjustment begins to take place. Is a lot of times agents, when they're going in for listing appointments, they get the pushback from the seller because they had this idea about what the home is worth and they want to hold to that. And they're talking about what it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. And now they're seeing that the home's been sitting on the market. They've had to do price cuts. And that's the word is kind of getting out that the price that you think your home is worth is probably not what it is anymore. It probably needs to be adjusted. It's not this huge, massive inflation anymore. It's come down to more of a realistic, more of a normal, what we would call normal now level. I mean, obviously, we're not going to go back to what it was pre-pandemic. I mean, the inflation has been ridiculous and it's going to stay there. But it's cooled a little bit. It's not a huge amount of inflation month over month, so that's what we're seeing. Quote, no one really seems to be fighting me much on price like they used to, said Bruce Jones, an agent with Compass in Nashville, Tennessee. We're not really seeing huge decreases in prices. We've kind of plateaued, but I don't see people arguing too much about that. If it's priced correctly, it is moving. And this is the thing too. This is the lesson, right? It's like there is things you can do to home to improve it and help it along. Obviously, curb appeal, remodels, fresh paint, all those type of things. We talk about that all the time. But really, when it comes down to it, it's price. Like right now, it is price. If you got a lot of homes on the market, or and there's a lot of competition, it's going to be price. So pay attention to your price. What I would encourage agents to do out there is get into the data of your local MLS. Like look at what we're talking about here and compare it to your local market and see what's actually going on. Take that information and then get a better understanding about pricing. Look at your average selling price, median price, days on the market, all those type of things. Get very familiar with neighborhoods that you have a lot of properties listed in or what has a high turnover rate in, and get very familiar with those and figure out what prices look like. Pricing is going to be the game. You got to get it right. So if you're going to move property, you got to price it right. This is the share of U.S. real estate agents reporting price cuts. So we're reporting price cuts about 57% in the second quarter. Home prices are still slightly higher than they were a year ago, up just under 1%, according to the S&P Totality Case-Shiller National Home Price Index. Sellers, however, seem to be pricing more to the market, resulting in fewer cuts. Asking prices in June were down 2.5% year over year, according to Realtor.com. That is the largest annual drop since the company began tracking this in 2017 and the 8th straight month of declines. Okay, so this is good. We're kind of adjusting. Blah, blah, hello to you. The person's name is blah, blah. Hi, thank you for being here, guys. That's a great name. I always tell sellers that I'm in the business of selling homes, not storing them. That's good. And so you really need to put a property at the right price in order to get it sold. Hey, you guys can take that one. That's a good little quote. Said Martha Thorne, an agent with Coldwell Banker in Tampa, Florida. All right. What are home buyers most concerned about right now? So this is something, when we talk about this is something that you do training, you do video, you do content on. This is what you make sure you have in your talking script when you're meeting with buyers and sellers. Because if we're polling people and what we're hearing that they're most concerned about, we got to have objections to what those things are and give facts and information in regards to it. Because if we're not, the media is. And the media sells ads. So we got to be careful. We got to make sure that we are speaking from truth and actual data and not hype. So this is where, if this is what most people are concerned about, let's pay attention. So what do we have? Well, in 2026, the most concerned thing right here is this big bright blue, which is what? Mortgage rates. Now, the reason why, and this is typically a high thing that people get concerned about. You'll notice it always has a high percentage, but right now it's really high because people are watching that number. It is in almost anytime they mention the real estate market, they're going to go first to the interest rate. What is the interest rate currently? And they talk about, we just talked about oil, crude prices going up and the economy doing this, and it's went up, it's went down, and all this kind of type of stuff. We, as real estate agents, when we go in and we start talking about, affordability and the cost of acquiring a home and buying a home, if we know that what most buyers are concerned with is interest rate, we need to be able to articulate the importance of what interest rate actually means in regards to what they're buying. Like, is that the main factor of buying a home? You as a real estate agent, that's not the case. There's many factors in buying a home that is outside of interest rate. There's many more benefits to buying it outside of interest rates. It's a factor, but it's not the only reason you should be deciding to buy or not. So we need to be very good at just explaining mortgage rates and the importance of understanding how they work, and then how other financial measurements use in your home matter as well. Like if you buy a house and maybe you're paying 6.6 interest rate, but you're buying a house that needs a little bit of remodeling, a little bit of help along the way, well, you can go ahead and do that and maybe increase the value. So you're building equity, you're building some wealth. So there's just a little bit of that kind of stuff that matters, but we need to be really good at that. The next one on this list would be this one right here, which is prices. As people are starting to watch the price, it's no shock there, because that's the overall cost of buying a home. How much am I going to have to pay monthly, because this is the purchase price? So they're paying attention to that. Then we start dropping down from there. It's the economy, not as high as it has been. Not as high as that, which I find this kind of interesting just because of all the war. Now, I know like these 2 quarters is definitely because of that, because of the Iranian war that we have going on with them and all that kind of stuff. That brought a lot of fear into the economy. A lot of people were paying attention to that. So that became very much into the forefront of their mind. Like, what is the economy doing? That settled down a little bit. So now we're just watching interest rate. What's going on there, right? It's like this, it's just, maybe it's going to go down because the oil prices go down, or the war's over and there's this fluctuation. They're just watching that interest rate. And then finally, we got the inventory as an issue. People don't pay too much attention to that as much anyway, but there you go. Share of real estate agents who expect sales to improve next quarter. So 48% back in third quarter of 2025, expected sales to improve. It then peaked, and then it's kind of went down. It's now at 19% second quarter. 19% expect sales to improve. So not very optimistic, right? Stagnantly high mortgage rates are largely to blame for that. While the market is shifting into balance nationally, there is wide divergence locally. The challenge isn't a lack of buyers. It's a psychology gap. Oh, this is true. This is very true. It is absolutely a psychology. And a lot of times real estate it's a very emotional game to play, especially if you're trying to sell your house and then buy another house. A lot of emotions are at play, and it becomes a psychological one. The challenge isn't like a buyer, it's psychology gap, said Joel Aronco with Nicholas Joel Realty Group in Houston. Quote, my focus this quarter is keeping clients focused on real-time, hyper-local data rather than national economic headlines. That is true. If your client and your consumer is making decision based on what like Fox News, CNN, all them other places report on, and they're taking that into their local market and not looking at their local market specifically, they could easily make bad decisions. So again, as real estate professionals, guys, if we know our local market, we can counteract a lot of the national media news. And I encourage you to get in the data and know your market. It might be that it is just as bad as the media portrays it to be in your area. Maybe. But I would actually venture to say it's definitely different than what they're reporting, and you need to know that data. So I think you become the voice of reason in that regard. Is there more? I don't know if there's more to this or not. Whoops. Yeah, that's it. All right, very good. Very good. Now let's go into the article here that to be honest, I'm more intrigued with to kind of keep my eyes on. This one kind of got me thinking and looking at it and thinking through it critically, like how's this going to work? So this next one is in regards to Kelley Blue Book. Kelley Blue Book, which is everybody knows who Kelley Blue Book is. They're the ones that value cars, tell you kind of what your car might be might be worth, used, and what kind of condition it is in, and all that kind of stuff. Well, they are now launching a home-based site that also does lead distribution service to real estate agents. So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. Historically, I am not a big fan. I'm not saying they don't have their place, but when I'm asked, and I'm asked this a lot, is where should I, spend my time, my money, and how do I build my business, that kind of stuff. I never recommend paying for leads. I just do not do it. In my experience in observing hundreds of agents, doing it myself, building a business without ever buying leads, I feel like there's a place for it, but I think there's a better way to build a business that doesn't cost you as much money to acquire that business. Word of mouth, sphere of influence. I hate it. Door knocking, getting out in public, serving, all those type of things might be a slower road, but it's a more reliable one that can build and cause great dividends long-term for referrals. So I feel like a lot of times people buy leads and it's like a cop-out. They kind of get away from having to do the hard, uncomfortable things that actually generate business long-term. So I'm not saying it doesn't have its place. I'm not going to go that far. I think it does, but I would be very hesitant to recommend it. But now we come to this and I'm like, a little intrigued here. Maybe this is going to be a little bit different. We'll see. We'll see how it plans out. But let's go ahead and talk about this. This is an article by RIS Media, by Jesse Williams. All right. Kelley Blue Book Homes launches lead distribution service with valuation tools for sellers. The storied auto valuation brand is getting into the lead gen business, offering subscription-based access and neighborhood-level data with an August 1st launch. Okay, so they're shooting for August 1st. So we're going to pay attention to this. I think it's only in a select markets. I think it'll say that, but I don't think, The platform is now open for agent signups in 10 states. Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, Utah, and Washington, with seller marketing services beginning August 1st. So just so you know, if you're in one of those states, congratulations, you can kind of look into this and maybe take advantage of this. But let's talk about what it is. It says Kelley Blue Book Homes has announced the launch of its residential real estate platform, bringing the Kelley Blue Book brand into the home valuation market. The website delivers homeowners home valuations for when they sell. Agents can secure exclusive access to those sellers on a zip code basis through marketing agreements with Kelley Blue Book Homes. So I don't know what any of that looks like, guys. I've not read through their materials to know what it is. I've got it on my to-do list. I will be going through that just to keep myself informed for my own agents. So I will be reading through the terms and conditions and what this actually looks like going forward. I'm intrigued. I will be doing my due diligence. Do likewise if you're one of these states. Read through all that, see what it's like. But the way I would say is probably very similar to what we've seen before. It's based on a zip code platform, so you're probably more than likely going to be either paying for specific zip codes, or you'll pay a set fee and they will assign, you to zip codes. It's some version of that. So we've seen this before. The new initiative is a joint venture with appraisal and home valuation company, True Footage. Interesting. There's a little bit of a tie in there with an appraisal and home valuation company, True Footage, whose CEO, John Liss, tells RIS Media that the platform will leverage deeper data and the Kelley Blue Book's century-old brand to offer agents and sellers something new in the crowded lead gen and home valuation space. Now, I'll just pause just a second. This is the part where I'm a little more intrigued. The interesting partnership with an appraisal and home valuation company in regards to a brand that has a front-facing site that most people know. When you hear Kelley Blue Book, everybody knows what it is. Now, it is associated to the car industry. That's true. But they have a pretty strong following and very loyal base. And even if it is just car enthusiasts or people buying and selling cars, the reality is those people would probably come to that site to look for homes. So if Kelley Blue Book takes the position of marketing and getting themselves out there and marketing this platform for homes, interesting things could happen here. And then on top of that, you've got an appraisal and home valuation company that understands valuing homes and what that might look like working alongside Tandem. A little bit different of approach than just being a portal where they just shop for listings. This, to me, seems more like it is crafted at just like when you are a private owner of a car, physically going to a site, letting them evaluate that car. It seems like that's exactly what they're going to be doing here. It's like if I'm a seller, if I'm an owner of a home, and I want to kind of get an understanding about the value of my house, I could go to Kelley Blue Book and have them I can give them my data, and they're going to assess my home. Now, the other argument is you could say maybe that's going to take them away from calling up real estate agents and asking them for advice and that kind of stuff. You can make that argument. I don't know. But in reality, the other side of this is they have a front-facing website. Maybe this is where they're going to go with this. So it's very intriguing. Very, very intriguing. It says, quote, I would say nobody needs more junk in the lead space. Amen. We don't need that. Oh, so much of that. There's plenty of that, Liz says. We have data, and we know that our evaluations are more comprehensive than others. So it's not just throwing some instant, uninterpretable AVM model at consumers. In early test markets, the platform is seeing more than 17% of listings go on the MLS within 90 days of getting a price report, according to the release, which Liz says shows that high-intent sellers are attracted to the Kelley process and information. Leads are vetted, with sellers opting in and needing to complete the much more comprehensive home valuation process, which mirrors some of what Kelley Blue Book does with cars. Okay, let's just stop and unpack that for just a second, because inside this one paragraph, I think we get the entire business model. I think we can understand the entire business model here. So they've been testing this. There's a test market to figure out if their system is actually working. And what is that test, right? What is it that's actually working? It says the platform is seeing more than 17% of listings go on the MLS within 90 days of getting a price. So what we see 70% of those funneling in are going on the MLS. So they are funneling these things, these leads and these sellers into the hands of qualified real estate agents. Okay, so that's the first thing we can know. We can know that their aim is to make sure that once they get this person and they get the valuation of the home, is to turn this over to an expert, a professional, to take it from there and help this person get it sold. So they are partnering with real estate agents, so not looking to replace them. And then the next part of this, we know that what is it that's drawing people there? Well, it's the brand Kelley. Everybody knows Kelley. It's going to drive them to do what they've always done for cars, to also do that with their home. So if Kelley decides to do a bunch of marketing and get it out there, they've got the brand recognition, so people will logically start using it. I could see this being a very easy transition. Then the next thing we see is leads are vetted, with sellers opting in and needing to complete the much more comprehensive home valuation process. So there is something more going on here. When you say that the leads are vetted, what does that mean? Well, I would assume, and we'll get into this on the actual look through their website, I would think that there's going to be a physical communication. There's going to be more talking about that property. It might be more information, filling out forms, answering questions, that kind of stuff. But it's more than just syndicating it to a portal that runs all kinds of algorithms to pull other data metrics in to see what the price might be. This might be a little bit more hands-on. I don't know, I'm assuming here. But I would think that being Kelley Blue Book, there might be a little bit more of this vetted to go into the weeds about it on a local level. Okay, I think in that one paragraph, we can kind of see exactly what they're trying to do here. All right, unlike the commission-based referral structures that define most lead platforms, okay, so we know it's not going to be a commission. We're not going to get these leads and then pay a commission back. Kelley Blue Book Homes explained in the release that it operates on a subscription model. So there we go. It's going to be probably a monthly subscription. Agents pay a predictable monthly fee for marketing to sellers in their zip code rather than committing to a percentage of their commission at close. I like that. I like that a lot. I like the idea. Anytime you're buying a service and you can put a physical dollar amount on that service, think about how easy that is to do some budgeting and financing and planning off of. I know my cost, all right? It's not that I have to pay some kind of commission and do this kind of stuff. I know my cost of acquiring those leads are going to cost me every single month. I love that, because for budgeting and any kind of math people out there, that makes it a whole lot easier when you're doing any kind of projections. And I think that's very, very important. It says, Liz adds that Kelley Blue Book has an implicit trust with consumers based on its long history and auto valuations. The valuations are also meant to differentiate from competitors who rely on algorithms. With a property valuation that has a human in the loop. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're getting even more understanding here. I would agree the Kelley Blue Book brand is pretty good. I mean, if you go to a car lot, what do they have? They have Kelley Blue Book price says it's this, right? That becomes the thing. Now, the differentiation here that rely on algorithms with a product, this has a human in the loop. So there is a human on the other end that's talking to these people, right? It includes aggregated data and analysis from True Footage's products according to lists. Agents are vetted. Okay, so we know that now the seller is going to be vetted by an actual human. So that's what I'm assuming here. We'll see how this all plays out, guys. We don't know. Then the next part is agents are vetted based on performance metrics, including sales volume, days on market, sell to list ratio, and other qualitative factors, making sure Kelley customers only get serviced by top performing agents, which list says includes more than just sales volume. This is crucial. This is where I feel like Kelley Blue Book is not just trying to be the solution for any and every agent out there. I think in some ways they're wanting to elevate this whole idea of lead generating into something that is actually going to be beneficial for the consumer and for the agent. An agent that does really good work, that excels at their job, that understands their industry, that, and if you notice too, it said something about price to list ratio, sell to list ratio. Well, they're looking at the numbers. They want to put this in the hands of an agent that understands their market. It's not just a random, oh, I've sold a lot. Because if you go off sales volume alone, it doesn't really tell you the whole story. Because sometimes agents just get lucky and they make big sales. But that sell to list ratio and how they do that, the days on the market, that's qualitative data that tells Kelley Blue Book if this agent understands the industry and is a true professional. Asked how the initiative will evolve, if Kelley Blue Book plans to significantly expand its agent community or criteria for using the platform, List says they have aspirations to grow. We feel like there's enough top agents in the U.S. to grow responsibly. Words are important, guys. Words are important. So yes, the answer is yes, they want to grow. No doubt, it's a company. They got to grow to make money. But what does he say here? We feel like there's enough top agents in the U.S. to grow responsibly. So what he's telling you right there very clearly is they are looking at putting their vetted leads in the hands of knowledgeable agents. So the pressure is on. If this is a good program or not, I don't know. But opportunity is out there for the agent that is a student of their craft every single day and is willing to learn and never say they've arrived and constantly getting into the weeds and trying to represent the clients the best they can, understanding their own data, watching their sell to list ratio and what that looks like, trying to reduce the days on the market because you know pricing. All of this gives you advantages that others might not have. So being good at your job is very, very important. Nusnaps Magnetics it asked, is this for realtors or real estate questions as well? Thanks. I'm assuming your question is this just for realtors or real estate agents as well? So you're differentiating the two between just being a real estate agent versus being a realtor. I don't know. That's a good question. I will say I could read between the lines just a little bit here and kind of give you advice and say it's probably for just realtors, mainly because of what they're saying in this article where they're talking about being on the MLS. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's other MLSs out there that maybe you don't have to be a realtor part of. But what I would almost venture to think is that Kelley Blue Book is probably going to be looking at the highest quality caliber of real estate agents. And I would venture to guess that they're going to be looking for agents that are realtors because they have to adhere to the code of ethics. And they also have a little bit more, professionalism as far as like the training and stuff that's required of them. Not that other real estate agents aren't as professional. It's just they have to meet a higher standard of these ethics and these morals. So they have to be trained more. Not always the case, but what I am saying though is that's probably will be an easier quantifier for Kelley Blue Book to go that route and to say, look, it's for realtors. But I don't know. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Maybe it is for everybody. I don't know. List also affirms there are opportunities to bring in more consumers from the established auto valuation side, where the brand sees 240 million annual visitors, potentially increasing the volume of leads without providing specific details. Now, here's a final quote. There's belief that providing consumers with more one-stop shop solutions across all of their needs in terms of asset understanding is a good thing. We could read a lot into that. I don't know what all that means. I could make a lot of assumptions, and we're just going to hold it from there. I'm not going to make any assumptions. But I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. I do feel like there's a little bit of a different positioning here on Kelley Blue Book's part. I think they are definitely focusing on what lead generation looks like for agents in a different way, but they're also more anchoring themselves in being a solution to help homeowners get their homes priced correctly because of the partnership they have with an appraisal and property valuation company. So I find this a very interesting thing. I don't know how this is going to play out, but let's do this now. Let's go ahead and go look at the actual Kelley Blue Book model. Like, what is this? What does the website look like? And let's just kind of look through this. It's probably not available in most areas. Well, it's not available in most areas. Like, let me just say this. It is only in 10 states: Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, Utah, and Washington. Those are the states that it's in currently. And I don't know the valuation process to get yourself approved to be a part of Kelley Blue Book's homes. I don't know. But let's go ahead and look at the website itself now. All right. Very simple, guys. If you want to know how to get there, it is KelleyBlueBookHomes.com. That is the website. Complimentary pricing strategy review is where it begins. It says, don't just list, price it right. Get a complimentary strategy call. Okay, there's a call. So it is with a real person, with a valuation expert using exclusive Kelley Blue Book Homes data other agents don't have. Price smarter, sell for more. I don't know what all this means, guys. I don't. Prepare to sell. Now, we're talking about this from the perspective of a homeowner. Okay, now there is a link at the top here, and we're going to get into that. It says agents. I'm going to read through that one as well. We won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but we'll go through it. It says prepare to sell. Know where you stand before you go to market. Thinking about listing. A Kelley Blue Book Homes pricing specialist reviews your property, your market, so it goes locally, and your competitive position using appraiser grade data, then walks you through it on a scheduled phone call. You'll go into the process with a clear pricing strategy backed by data, not guesswork. So it is going to be talking to a person. I think that's pretty fascinating. And now, where do they get their data? How do they get their data? Where does it come from? All those type of questions I still kind of have. Like, I would assume they're getting it from public record. They're getting it from MLS feeds. You know, that's where I would say. And I'd say they probably got some data mining AI going on in the background. Personalized Kelley Blue Book Home strategy. It says a tailored report covering your home's market value, range, comp analysis, pricing strategy, and the specific levers that move offers higher in your zip code. It's free. They have a little thing that says $250 value, but it's marked down. It says free. Probably marketing at its finest. One-on-one call, and then it says plus one-on-one call with a Kelley Blue Book Homes pricing specialist. A scheduled phone call where a Kelley Blue Book Homes pricing specialist walks you through the report, answers your questions, and discusses your options with no pressure to list. So they're just going over value right now. There's no pressure to list. I don't know how this all plays out, but I'd be curious to see what happens. All right, here's the process. Here's how it works. For those just joining us, we're talking about KelleyBlueBookHomes.com. They've released a new portal where they can do home evaluations, and then in certain states, you can submit and be an agent for them that give you some information. Bobby, good to see you, man. Bobby is a beast when it comes to exercising. Good morning. Just getting here. Did 22 miles on bike, 22 average. Dude, that's excellent, man. Average speed of 22. Man, you were booking it. Nicely done, man. I have to do my run later today. I didn't have time to do it this morning. I love doing it in the morning, though. It's way cooler right now. Hey, Tanny boy, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that greatly. Thank you. Thanks for being here. All right, so here's how this works. A clear strategy for your home, shaped by local expertise and real market context. Number one, share your property. Tell us about your home, your timeline, and your goals. We consider what online valuations overlook. The inside of your home, renovations, upgrades, and unique features are all included in our analysis. Yeah, Tenny, well, no worries. Yeah, well, hey, I appreciate it. I really do. I don't take it for granted. Thank you for being here. But yeah, so there is definitely some deeper dive going into the valuation of their homes, right? This is not just pulling data. They're getting inside of the home. So I'd be curious, I'm not, and well, no, I'm not in the state that they're at. If there is anybody out there that is in any of these states, Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, Utah, and Washington, if you live in those states, do some research for me. If you'd be willing to like go through the process to see how this works for me, that would be awesome. All right. I would love to hear your experience and DM me whatever and let me know kind of like your experience if you do it. I would be curious to see how this process works. Like how close do they get, right? All right. It says our valuation engine gets to work. Our proprietary and analytics engine and machine learning models. It says find the homes most similar to yours, not just by size and features, but by location and neighborhood characteristics. Analyze recent comparable sales and local market trends. Adjust for differences in features, condition, and changes in the market over time. Now, look, let's step back for just 1 second and just say like, everything they just said there is what real estate agents do anyway. Like that's a CMA, comparative market analysis, right? That's what we do every day. So there's not really anything too crazy there. It's just there's this marketing angle where Kelley Blue Book could help in qualifying leads better for listings. And here's why it's a little bit more intriguing to me than most other portals. Is most other portals have never been able to figure out how to get you seller leads. It has been mostly just buyer leads. You spend thousands of dollars to get buyers. The reason why I'm more intrigued with this one is because it gives you the actual product to sell, the house, which gives you the most amount of leverage for your time. So this part kind of intrigues me. That's why I'm a little bit more intrigued with what Kelley Blue Book might be proposing here. And then it says part of number 2, I guess. Maybe that should be 3 and then 4. Receive your personalized valuation. You'll receive a detailed valuation with your estimated value range, comparable home sales, and key market insights. And then finally, review it with a specialist. So once you get all this kind of stuff together, then you do the review. A Kelley Blue Book Homes pricing specialist walks you through the data, answers your questions, and helps you evaluate your options with confidence. Now, they say they're not going to be pushing you to list. Here's my just quick observation. And again, I reserve the right to be wrong. But the way I kind of see the way this kind of flows is, and especially if you look at the free nature of this, it's like they just want to capture as much leads and data as they possibly can to then turn this over to their specialist to get it listed. Because where's the profit at? How does Kelley Blue Book make money on this? Well, it's on the monthly subscriptions of the agents that are using the platform. So how do they keep people paying monthly? They got to keep sending them leads. So the way I would perceive this playing out is they share the property, the valuation goes to work, they receive that personal valuation, and then they get the call to review it with the specialist. And in the course of that conversation, I believe that specialist is going to be trained to try to convert that lead for you as like what we would call a scrubber into getting them more closer to being ready to list, which would go back to what the article is talking about. 17% of them end up on the MLS. Okay, so the amount of leads you get, about 17% end up on the MLS. So that would be the way I would understand this. Why we're better: real experts, rich data, and a more complete view of your home's value. We see what algorithms miss. Renovations, upgrades, and unique features all factor into our analysis, not just public records. Real pricing specialists, not bots. Your call is with a Kelley Blue Book Homes pricing specialist who knows your zip code block by block. Be interested to know who that is and how they know it block to block and how much information. I mean, it's not going to be a local person. Maybe it's a local agent. Maybe that's a specialist. Maybe that is the angle. I don't know. Then appraisal grade data. Proprietary access to nationwide appraisal data gives us unmatched insight into how features affect value. That's coming from their partnership with that appraisal and property valuation company that they have partnered with. So be very, very interesting. Common question: is it complimentary? Yes. Both the personalized strategy report and the scheduled phone call with the specialist are completely complimentary. No credit card, no commitment. Do I have to list my home with anyone after the call? Not at all. The call is a no-pressure consultation. If you do choose to work with a Kelley Blue Book home specialist down the line, you'll get a smoother experience because we've already vetted them as a top local performer. And this is the key, right? This is the key. You have got to be good at your job. You got to have good records, good data to probably get into this program. What I see is they're looking for the top agents. That's who they're wanting to partner with. What makes this difference from other online valuation estimates? Online estimates can't see inside your home or know your neighborhood the way a Kelley Blue Book Homes pricing specialist can. We combine appraiser-grade data with a real human walkthrough. This is interesting. Okay. That combination is what consistently sells homes. So the way I would interpret this, guys, if they're doing walkthroughs on site, then the agents that are working with Kelley Blue Book are the Kelley Blue Book Homes pricing specialists. So this is fascinating. So you're going to get the report from Kelley Blue Book. You're going to probably meet this client, walk through the home with them, and we're talking about valuation. It basically gives you a soft listing presentation, and it puts you directly in position. This is interesting. I'm intrigued. How is this different from a traditional appraisal? Yeah, this is not a formal appraiser for lending purposes. This is more like a CMA. And then how long does the call take? It looks like it says 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. All right, let's go into this tab here. It says agents now. Okay, so let's go into where it says agents and let's read through this. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys think. Anyone else kind of intrigued? Is this making sense? Is there any questions you might have? I mean, I've got a few questions that we're not going to get answers to, I don't think, but that's the point of the show. I want to keep tabs on things, keep you guys aware. This is up and coming. It says zip codes are filling up ahead of our August 1st launch. Secure yours before it's taken. Speak to our sales team. So you got a direct link there. You can click this. Request a demo. See how the agent subscription program works and find out whether your zip codes are available. Share your details and our team will reach out to schedule a quick demo. It says Kelley Blue Book Homes is the country's premier seller lead program backed by 100 years of trust as America's value authority. About 17% of customers list within 90 days at a median home value of above $550K. Agents subscribe monthly for exclusive share of voice in their zip codes, getting first access to every homeowner who looks up their home's value. Please note, this is not a success referral model. That's just a little caveat. It looks like you can request your state. So you would check your state if it's not even in their list and fill this out and get on a list. It says team size. What zip codes are you interested in purchasing? How many listings have you taken in the last 12 months? What CRM do you use? These are initial qualifiers. Have you ever worked online leads before? Do you have an individual coach as opposed to group coaching? That's interesting. So they are looking, they are doing some vetting. All right. Let's go into the weeds just a little bit more. Why agents partner with Kelley Blue Book Homes. A simple, high-trust way to grow your business in the markets you already serve. Be the verified agent. Stand out as the official Kelley Blue Book Homes verified agent for your area, backed by a name homeowners already know and trust. Homeowner-initiated leads. This is true. Homeowners are the ones initiating all of this. And you got to ask yourself if they're triggering and want to know what their value is. They could be just curious, but more than likely they're more curious because they're thinking about selling and they're looking to see what their home's worth. Homeowner-initiated leads. Connect with homeowners who come to Kelley Blue Book Homes for trusted guidance throughout their home ownership journey, from understanding value and equity to exploring selling opportunities and planning what's next. I'm kind of intrigued too in this is that if their model of evaluation is pretty good, when you as an agent is part of this program and you show up at a listing and you walk them through it and that kind of stuff, you're probably going to have a seller that is a little bit more equipped and ready to price that home if you get to that point than you would otherwise. And so in some ways, Kelley Blue Book is kind of doing the work for you here a little bit to help you kind of get in the door to get it priced right if their model is good. Grow on autopilot. Stay in front of homeowners over time with ongoing value updates, so your name is there when they're ready to make a move. It's very interesting. Why we stand behind our lead quality. Every lead is a result of a deliberate, multi-layered process built to deliver homeowners who are eventual movers. Smarter targeting every day. Our targeted campaigns run across multiple channels and continuously learn, constantly refining how we identify the right homeowner cohort so the right people find us at the right time. So they're definitely doing marketing. Proprietary market intelligence. Our technology pulls detailed market insights and delivers custom messaging to homeowners. So by the time they reach you, they're already warmed up and ready to take the next step in their real estate journey. That's true. They're already kind of warm. High intent by design. Our intake process is detailed enough to qualify intent without being overwhelming. So every lead that reaches you has demonstrated a genuine interest in maximizing their outcome. So this is very interesting. And they've obviously been testing this. I'd be curious to know if anyone's ever been in this testing process and that kind of stuff and what that was like. I would love to have this conversation with somebody. How it works. Getting started takes just a few minutes. Request a demo. Tell us about you and the zip codes you'd like to cover. Get matched to your market. Verified agents are selected, not assigned. We evaluate agents based on market expertise, track record, responsiveness, and client experience standards before extending access to available territories. So there is a big vetting process here. They are really looking for the agent that's going to follow through with these leads. Start receiving opportunities. Go live as the verified agent and connect with homeowners near you, and then request a demo. What agents are saying. So hear from verified agents already growing their business with Kelley Blue Book Homes. I got a listing signed up in my first few weeks on the platform. So someone got a listing. The valuations the consumer receives are unlike anything I've seen in the market before. James, verified agent, Orlando, Florida. I've been able to get in front of many sellers while they are all not moving tomorrow. I've been developing a really great database of future customers. Good perspective, honestly, as far as leads go. All right. So here's the thing, guys. I'm not saying I recommend it. I'm not saying anything. I don't know. This is an article that was ran on IS Media. I read through that. We just went through the website. I don't know anything about it. I will say I am highly intrigued. I'm going to get into the weeds of this. I'm going to start looking into this. I will probably have my department that runs our relocation and leads and all that kind of stuff, network, submit for this and kind of get more information, sit in on a demo and learn more about it. So that would be what I will be doing. I will be pursuing this because, look, I do this a lot. There's always these new things always coming out, and we do this all the time. And I just got to be honest, 9 times out of 10, they're worthless. It's just another portal trying to do the exact same thing. And just like, yeah, okay, well, probably still not worth the time yet. And we're very strategic in what we partner with. Like we just don't rush out and do much. This one has me a little bit more intrigued, mainly because it's addressing a lead situation where there really isn't one out there that generates seller leads very well. This is the one that I think is very much tailored to being able to accomplish just that. And that's the part that really intrigues me about this. So I'm going to spend a little more time getting into the weeds of it. I think it's very important to do so. Bobby, yeah, I'm going to look into it. You should look into it. Bobby, you go check it out. Fill out the application. If you're in a state that has that, which I think you are, I believe you are, check it out. And then report. Let me know. Let me know your experience. If you sit on a demo, whatever, man, I would love to have a conversation and talk to you and see how that went. Just get some insight. So feel free to do that. I think it'd be fascinating to do that. But anyway, yeah, we're out of time. I've got to get ready for another meeting, guys. I will be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, for another episode. And if I do that, guys, if I can get here tomorrow, it'll be the first time I've done Monday through Thursday without missing a day in like months. So far, my schedule's been kind of crazy. I've had to like kind of not do streaming every single day. But so far, I've been able to have my meetings start a little bit later so I can do this because I enjoy it. It keeps me like on point myself. I read the news anyway, and I love doing this like live with you guys. I truly find it fun. Have a blessed day, my friend. You too, Bobby. Thank you for being here, man. You as well. But yeah, anyway, guys, have a great day. Get out there, make some things happen, focus on just, doing well and being there for others and doing well. My computer is kind of acting glitchy. Let me know if my voice went out. I don't know if it did or not. Oh, I see what's happening. Hold on. Right when you're trying to wrap up a show. Have a blessed day. Yep. Yeah, let's see. I think it's working now. Well, yeah. Anyway, fortunately, it's freezing up like right at the end. This is what technology will do for you, right? It's like, yep, here we go. Good old technology. But we are wrapping up anyway. I am here, Bob. You can hear me. Oh, good. Good. Thank you for letting me know. Well, that works. Even though I can't hear or see anything. I don't know what happened. All right, I'm just going to wrap it up, guys. I'm glad you can hear me. That's good. That is your real estate brief for today. If you found this helpful, please consider hitting the like button to tell YouTube you would like to see more of this type of content, as well as TikTok, and consider subscribing and following me to join a community of real estate agents that are focused on building a business that is relationship focused first. There's more I can be talking about. Definitely didn't get to all the articles today. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, the Lord willing, and we will do this again and then wrap up the rest of the week. So guys, have a great day. Keep doing well, keep serving well, and be a blessing to others. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.